Hello and welcome back to Everon Railways. This video is all about the House Dum Mesto 2. Now there are 15 House Dum Mesto 2s on the island of Everon. The town with the most number of them is Montanak with 4. And then there's 3 in St. Pierre, and the rest are scattered about the island. 1 in Tyrone, 1 in Provence, etc. Now, just as with all models, this model was designed in Google Sketchup, where a 3D print master prototype was sent to me, from which I made a mold. And I have the mold right here. And it is Smooth-On's Mold Max 30. As I say in every video, this is the mold material that I use, the silicone mold material that I use on just about, not all, but just about all of my models. This mold is a two-part mold. Resin is poured in here, and it eventually vents out here. I believe this mold is already 2 years old, and it's still in great shape. Of course, it only cast 15 items. And it makes nice, reliable, hollow castings. You can just imagine how much resin this would use if this was a one-piece mold and this was a solid casting. It'd be quite a waste of resin. And those, of course, are pressure casted. Here are casting blanks of the House Dum Mesto 2. And I have 15 casting blanks here, which means I have completed casting all that I will need. I've got one that's blacked out here, and that's for, really this is overkill, and the reason there's so much black on the model is I was using the Aztec airbrush system, which when you use the Aztec airbrush system, it does not allow you to adjust the spray width of your spray pattern at the nozzle. The only way to adjust your spray pattern is to change out the nozzles. And I liked the system because it was easy to clean. The airbrush itself was easy to clean. But this changing out nozzles, and I'm just probably not going to be using it for intricate model painting. And the next step is to apply the screenshot panels to the sides of the resin casting. And just as we have seen in the last video with the House Dum Mesto 3, this building was originally designed with details. And you can see, for example, this door is raised here, this door frame, as well as this midline here that is actually raised somewhat. And of course there are recesses for the windows. Well, what I found out, so these are all designed before I actually had them in hand. And what I found out in the last build with the House Dum Mesto 3 is adding the details is not only aggravating, the model doesn't really look accurate. So I decided to scrap all the details and just go with a flat screenshot panel applied to the side. So that requires me to sand down any raised details, like the door frame and that side panel there, that piece that runs about midway up the wall. But now, of course, I have recesses in the windows and doors. And what that means is on our screen panels, and I have some here, I would not be able to use regular printer paper. Now, I like printer paper, and I like printing out on printer paper, as I mentioned in earlier videos, is because the colors come out more accurate than when it's printed on photo paper. Now, I like photo paper, and sometimes you need it for the rigidity, the thickness of it. But for whatever reason, when you print directly onto photo paper, the colors do not print out accurately. They print out richer. Their hues are skewed for whatever reason. So what I did here, and it's something that I didn't want to do, but I ended up doing, and it's going to work out fine, is I printed out on regular printer paper, and then I glued and adhered. In this case, I used that 3M, is it Super 7? I'll have to get it out. And applied this regular printer paper to photo paper. So now I'll just go ahead and cut out along the edge of the printout shape, and then I'll have basically the rigidity I need to ensure that it covers these window recesses. And the reason I need the rigidity is so obviously when you have a recessed panel, you don't poke a hole in your paper and you don't get sags there and what have you. So first step is to begin cutting out and applying our screenshot panels. Here's our roof. I'll have to see how this is going to work, because one thing about using this is on regular photo paper. I may have to transfer this, because one thing about using this amount, this large area of regular paper, is it gets when that gets saturated with that white glue, it gets very fragile. And it's very easy to, when you're trying to adjust it, to rip the paper or to get a wrinkle in that paper. And then it's almost impossible to get out. So I'll see how the roof goes on regular paper. What else do we have here? We have 2 printouts of the roof here. And then, of course, we just have these. Not sure I'm going to use these. Are the dormer faces. Right. I don't know if you can see that because everything's blacked out, but not sure if I'm even going to be putting those on, because I already have pretty much, they're almost all completely dark and black, and that's what I've pretty much have right here, so may not even be using those. And then there's the chimney wrap right there. That'll go around the chimney. So we'll get all that done, and that's pretty much the bulk of the work. I've been going along and putting the screenshot panels on the ends, on the sides. I have one more to do here. But I wanted to show you how I do the roof and the dormers on a few buildings like these. There is a building that I call the Tyrone Tavern, and unfortunately I did not make a construction video of this model. I just showed it completed. And if you look at the roof and the roof dormers, you can see that there's a 2-step process in doing this, in doing these dormers the way they are. What I start with is a piece of printed out roof, I guess you could call them shingles, and then I cut those into smaller strips like this. You can see one is done here, and I white glue it, saturate the area with white glue, and I take that strip and I carefully work it over the roof line of that dormer. And when I'm satisfied with the position of it, I will leave it alone and let that dry, and I'll do that to each dormer. That same process was done here. Individual strips were placed on each dormer, and then I will take a roof panel. Here you can see it's the roof panel with the chimney, and I will cut out with a razor the outline of those white shapes, which are the shapes and fittings of the dormers. And then I'll take my roof panel that has the dormer shapes cut out, and all I'll do is I'll glue this right on top of the roof, and what happens there is you get that effect. You can see a finished one here. I'm not gluing this in place right now, but you can get the idea of how I'm left with a kind of a unique, this was kind of a unique, I don't want to say problem, but I was wondering how exactly I was going to do this, because it would be impossible to have a straight piece of roof like this that didn't have holes cut out and try to shape that over every dormer. That would, or make precision cuts. That wasn't going to work. How I ended up doing this and how this turned out to be exactly, the dormers turned out to be exactly in position, is this is a screenshot of the roof that was pulled into the program that I designed this building in, Google Sketchup, and from there I sized it and resized it and scaled it, and from there I was able to make an outline in the program exactly where the base of the dormers are. And I'll show you a few pictures of the roof in the game right here. The gutters with some super glue, and that might be a little challenging. They warped a little bit over some time. I'll get that done, and the building will be complete. I finished installing the gutters, and I thought it was going to be a challenge because they warped slightly, but they really weren't that warped, and the gutters went on very easy actually. I tacked them on with super glue, and then when that was holding steady, I applied several layers of white glue underneath. And they went on very nicely. Okay, this concludes the House Dum Mesto 2 build. What's next? Well, there's still about 4 buildings left. Actually, there might be a little bit more than that, but there's 4 that I have ready to be ready to go. So, and we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. Everon Railways.